Today's podcast is sponsored by lighthousepowerbusiness.com.
June 19th, Stuart Epperson.
The man who understands his influence can use it for generations to come. One December morning, almost as soon as Stuart Epperson had settled in his office, he learned someone had broken into his son's home. There was gunfire, and his daughter-in-law Julie was there. Epperson grabbed his phone and dialed her. Her phone rang, and it rang, and it rang. At last, Julie picked up. With a crack in her voice, she told Stuart what had happened. Like every weekday morning, she dropped the kids off at school and had gone back home. She was pulling back into their garage when she saw a pile of shattered glass on the ground. And the door she had just locked moments ago was now standing wide open. Instinctively, she grabbed her phone from her purse and managed to dial 911. She threw the car into reverse to back out of the garage, but a man in a black ski mask appeared at the door with a gun in his hand. He shouted at her to get out of the car, but she floored it instead, and he opened fire. 2 shots exploded from his .45, but both bullets miraculously missed her. Julie's car slammed into a tree, and the criminal escaped on foot. Within minutes, the police arrived and found Julie at a neighbor's home, shaken, but happy to be alive. Police also discovered that as he fled the scene, the criminal had dropped his ski mask and his knife, evidence they could use to bring the masked man to justice. On the day that appointment with justice arrived, Epperson accompanied Julie to the hearing where the criminal would be sentenced for attempted murder. Having worked with troubled youth through various organizations he had founded, Epperson was familiar with the process. But this time, a young man's anger had literally come to his family's doorstep, nearly taking Julie's life. Through all of this, it had been a challenge for Epperson to respond in a way that honored God. Rather than take this personal story to the airwaves of his national media empire or use his power to destroy the young man who'd nearly destroyed his own family, Epperson showed up in court and looked for an opportunity to positively influence the outcome. Could any good come out of this? When it came time for sentencing, the judge allowed family members to speak on the criminal's behalf. The only male family member present was his great-grandfather. With tears welling in his eyes, the old man told the court he was a good boy who fell in with the wrong crowd. Mr. Epperson asked the judge for permission to speak to the court, and he asked why this boy's father or his grandfather were not here for such an important hearing. It came out, sadly, neither one had been involved in the young criminal's life. 2 generations of fathers had been absent from duty, and the judge said he saw this all the time. Epperson later wrote about the experience. Prisons are full of young men who have fathers, if they can be found. As a founding board member of Christian Association of Youth Mentoring, he is committed to help lead troubled young men out of a lifetime of bad choices. This happens through close relationship with father figures who are willing to invest in the young men. Over the years, Epperson has seen the lives of many young men restored. Epperson said, "I have witnessed the positive result when an absentee father or adult male mentor chooses to get involved in a child's life. Forging an emotional bond is true fatherhood and the best hope to stop this epidemic." 1 Corinthians 11:1 says, "Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ." You have influence. Use it productively. The man who understands his influence can use it for generations to come.
Hey 365 Christian men, today is June 19th. My name is Mike Mott and I'm coming to you from Jerusalem, where I'm serving here together with my wife and our 2 children. And we've heard another encouraging and yet challenging story today, Stuart Epperson. That man that understands his influence is able to impact generations to come. This is a great challenge for us, guys. And so let me ask you, do you understand your influence? And are you using it productively? You see, each one of us has given a portion of influence from God. Stuart Epperson's influence didn't come to him because of his finances or his entrepreneurship or his stature in life. The influence that he had was the influence that God had given to him, that God had put into his hands, just like he's put into your hands and he's put into my hands. And then when we go to God with that influence and we ask him for wisdom and input and how to productively use that influence, then we're able to impact our generation. We're able to impact our communities and our families and our children if we're married, and our spouses if we're married, the workplace that we work in, the church that we go to, the random stranger on the street, all of the people that are a part of our lives. I've always loved that scene in the movie It's a Wonderful Life, where Clarence the angel says to George Bailey, "Strange, isn't it, how each man's life touches so many other lives, and when he isn't there, when he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?" That's your sphere of influence, man. God's given it to you to impact and to change the world around you in ways that I'll never be able to do, he won't ever be able to do. Only you will be able to do the influence that God has given to you alone. So let me ask you, do you understand your influence? And are you using it productively? Because the man who understands his influence will impact generations to come. That's our challenge today, guys. God bless you. Have a great day.
Today's podcast is sponsored by lighthousepowerbusiness.com. Get your free strategy session valued at $1,000. Get expert advice and take your business to the next level. Visit lighthousepowerbusiness.com to schedule your session today.